Both here and overseas, the White House continues to seek support for limited military strikes against Syria. And while the leadership of both parties is marching largely in step with the administration, many of their actual members are divided on the issue, particularly as to whether a series of limited strikes will actually accomplish the president's goal.
If we stand by and watch the chemical weapons being used, what signal does that, you think, that sends to Iran and North Korea and other countries who want to develop weapons of mass destruction?
After a few days of missile strikes, it will allow Assad, for example, to emerge and claim that he took on the United States and survived. And by the way, I also think this action could unleash a series of events that could further destabilize the region.
And while a majority of Democratic and Democratic-leaning voters believe the president has clearly explained his rationale, a similar majority still oppose military strikes against Syria for its use of chemical weapons. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman who intends to vote no on military strikes, Congressman Charles Rangel of New York. Welcome, sir.
Good to be back.
You've described the president's call for action on Syria as, in your words, embarrassing. You said, and I'm quoting you, there's no such thing as a limited war. How would you propose, then, that we stop Assad from chemically killing children in his own country?
I assume you're not stating what Senator McCain said, that as long as he kills them and doesn't use chemicals, it's okay with us.
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not, but we can't say that because we're prepared to have a limited war, and there's no such thing, that is chemicals, that he won't respond by using more chemicals or doing something else. So the whole idea that his atrocious behavior in the international community is a direct threat to our national security, I think doesn't make sense.
Congressman, how do we stop this man from killing children with chemical weapons?
I should have answered more directly and swiftly. If you agree with me that this is an international issue, it should be governed by international institutions. We have the United Nations, we have NATO, we have the Security Council, we have the Arab League, we have the European Union, we have Great Britain, and I never thought that Putnam in Russia would make some sense, but even he makes sense. And I didn't mean the president was embarrassing. I said, and he's changed it, that anyone who said the president embarrassingly drew the red line, it would be embarrassing if he thought he had the constitutional right to say cross the line and we're going to war. But he said since then that he never said that. It was the international community.
And he's right. Because
he is right.
98% of the nations on this earth actually oppose the use of chemical weapons.
Well, why are they coming asking our kids to put their lives in jeopardy?
The president is not asking our kids. He's saying specifically there are no boots on the ground. This is going to be a limited strike. Please. And what I'm putting to you is whether that as a strategy is something that may have the potential to deter this individual from killing more of his own people.
Well, we don't know that, but the first part of your question is what do you do, is that you tell people, not American kids, that this is an international monster and we want you to put up and shut up. I refuse to believe we're the only ones that have an armed forces. This idea, no boots on the ground, this idea about a limited war, if any Americans ever is jeopardized as a result of retaliation by this madman because of this so-called limited attack, I'll be the first one to say we got to wipe these people out to protect our men and women. Whether they fly in a plane or on the ground, this is war. There's no such thing as a limited war. You cannot attack a country and then tell him the rules in which he or she should respond.
Okay.
We know that.
Well, you heard what Senator John McCain just said. I'd like you to listen to what the Secretary of State had to say on Tuesday. Listen to this.
Iran is hoping you look the other way. Hezbollah is hoping that isolationism will prevail. North Korea is hoping that ambivalence carries the day. They are all listening for our silence.
Given the fact that Hezbollah and Iran are such friends of Assad, does the Secretary of State not make a strong and valid point that if nothing is done about chemical weapons usage by Assad, it only emboldens the Iranians, the North Koreans?
Well, who the heck is saying nothing should be done? we give enough money to countries to make certain that we demand that they respect international law. We don't go this along.
Your support to take limited military strikes.
Limited for United States. The president is really going to Europe where he should be, going to the United Nations where he should be,
He's trying to
tell the countries that we give billions of dollars to, put some skin in the game. And I support that. And so there's no way that I have to explain why 400 kids are dead, killed by this madman, and then I'm supposed to feel guilty. My kids are being killed every darn day in the city of New York. And I've been in combat, so I've seen dead people, and we have to do something about it. But how in God's heaven does anyone want me to believe that we're the only one with young kids?
Aren't you really responding to this because of what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan? Because you know that you supported President Clinton when he decided to launch airstrikes in Kosovo. Twice you voted with the government to support those strikes, to prevent a genocide, to prevent individuals being murdered. We're talking about over 100,000 people killed, 4 million displaced, 2 million fleeing the country, and you don't want to support similar airstrikes.
You sure pinpointed me. I have said enough is enough is enough. The last time any president has followed the Constitution and asked the Congress to support wartime commitment was Franklin Roosevelt. And any member of Congress that allows this to happen, see no evil, hear no evil, they, like me, ought to say at some point, we owe it to Americans to say enough is enough. There's no member of Congress that didn't believe our president, State Department, and everybody when they said that Saddam Hussein is going to be a knockover. They really believe that they would have rose petals. The people are just waiting for us to come. Now, I have to see a lot of the families of the 6,500 that got killed. I have to explain that they were patriots, that they were supporting the flag. I am fed up with it. And there is no justification for my constituents to go to sleep at night worrying that their great nation is under any type of threat. And let me end by saying this. I love this country. I owe so much to this country that if I really...
You've served this country.
No, I'm ready now. I'm 83. When I thank my blessings for what this country has allowed me to do, if you want to talk about me doing more and I really think that we are threatened, hey, I owe big time. But please, for God's sake, just don't think America, those who volunteers, are the only ones that are indebted for the security of this great country.
Congressman Charles Rangel, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Stay with us. The day's top lines are coming up. But first...